Agents ask me all the time, they say, Aaron, I wish that there was a place, kind of a series that I could watch that could help me and equip me with everything that I need to progress in my real estate career, right? In other words, how to go from 0 to 25 transactions, and then from 25 to 50, right? And then from 50 to 100, because at each one of those stages, there's different things I have to learn. There's different skills I have to acquire, different mental maps, different systems. And in an effort to really add value, right, after hearing that so many times, I said to the team, hey, we should create something like this on YouTube. So that's precisely what this is, right? We call this the Agent Roadmap Series. And within this series, we have seasons, right? Those seasons are those seasons of a real estate agent's career, from 0 to 25 transactions, from 25 to 50, and from 50 to 100. And within each season, we have episodes, right? The same way you would a show that you watch on Netflix or Hulu, right? So I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and the alert button, so that way you're alerted every time a new episode of a season comes out, so you can stay up to date. And if you're committed to making this real estate career a profession and really building wealth through selling real estate in high volume, I'm equally as committed to bringing you this series and these seasons and the episodes to really give you everything that you need that can allow you to have this business serve you in the same way that it served me and my family and now others. So as a quick kind of, okay, well, why would you want to listen to anything I have to say, right? Well, my name is Aaron Novello, and I've had the good fortune of selling real estate for 17 years. In that 17-year career, I sold over 2,000 homes. 80% of that business was listings sold. I used to own part of an office, franchise office. I sold it back. I partnered with EXP, the Model and the Opportunity, and in 2 years and 10 months, I've attracted 427 agents to the Elite Builders organization and growing. When it comes to selling real estate in high volume, not only have I done it myself personally, but I've also equipped others, right? Because I've also had a coaching company for a decade teaching agents how to sell real estate in high volume. It was recently named by Housing Wire top 25 coaching companies in 2025 for agents that want to learn what to say and how to say it. You're in the right place with the right guy. So let's dial in and let's jump into this first episode of the season that's 0 to 25 transactions. And this is kind of like the foundation, right? And the foundation of a sales business is lead generating. Now that might come as news to you, right? If you got your real estate license, because what you're aware of is that, you know, everything that required you to get your license had nothing to do with actually lead generating or making money. You have your license, or if you're getting your license, if you haven't got your license yet, I promise you, you'll find out very quickly that it has nothing to do with actually selling and making money. So what are some core mental maps as a salesperson that we need to get clear on, right? Well, the first is that a day not spent prospecting is a day not spent in business, right? Our job as a salesperson is to be in the presence of prospects, right? That's our job. And where the confusion happens is because we don't get a lot of guidance and there's all these different things that we could be spending our time on as an agent. You know, we get distracted and we set up all these different things and, you know, setting up our website and this and that. And as a byproduct of not being clear that your job is to be in the presence of prospects and a day not spent prospecting is a day not spent in business, that's why the attrition rate in real estate is so high, right? 70% of agents who get their real estate license within 1 year are doing something else. It's because they don't understand what they really got into, right? Which is a lead generation business, right? The next mental map that's really important for you to get clear on is that the money's not in the service, it's in the selling of the service. So meaning that doesn't mean that we don't give people good service, right? Because that's expected. It's kind of like when you go to the grocery store, you expect them to have groceries, right? You don't jump up and down when they have groceries. That's the expectation. So your clients expect you to know what you're doing. They expect you to know how to negotiate. They expect you to know how to explain to them purchase and sales agreements, right? Where the money is not in the service, it's in the selling of the service. Okay. So let me prove my point, right? Agents around the country, they all have real estate licenses. Yes. We can all perform the same services. Yes. And the same kind of tasks. Yes. The question is, do we all make the same amount of money? And the answer is no, right? The disparity is wild, right? The average agent across the country does 4 transactions all year long. Top producing agents can sell anywhere from 100 to thousands of units like a year, right? So the question is, what's the difference? Well, some agents know how to sell the service better than others. So if that's what's true, which it is, then that means I should spend all of my time learning how to sell the service. Yes? So it's another key mental map, right? The money's not in the service and the selling of the service. Another key component and foundation as far as lead generation is concerned is the type of leads that you want to be generating. So you have two options, right? One is seller leads and the other is buyer leads. Well, I can tell you emphatically that all the leverage in the real estate business is on the listing side. Period, end of story. So when you list a property, you become an employer. All the agents that are out in the community, they are the employee. To be clear, like if we kind of play that out, let's say you're working with 10 buyers. Well, if you're watching this video, you can't be in a car with them showing them property. At the same time, if you're working with 10 sellers, you could be watching this video and somebody else is writing offers, right? Showing those homes and writing offers. So all of the leverage is on the listing side. And there's an old maxim that says if you can't list, you can't last. I mean, it's true. Whoever controls the inventory controls the market. So if you're going to stack time on something, it would make sense logically to stack time on listings in terms of a lead source. That's what I personally decided to do. That's why 80% of all of my 2,000 transactions in my career were on the listing side, because of what I just described to you and that foundational mental map. Another key kind of mental map is there's somebody in your marketplace right now that made a decision today to sell. Your job is to go and find them, right? Your job is not to consume content on YouTube solely and stay in your office for 6 hours a day doing that. Your job is to maybe perhaps consume some of that content, but then go out and be in the presence of prospects and go find those individuals, right? And having a morning routine that is designed around you spending 3 to 4 hours a day looking for people that want to do business, right? Because they are out there today. And if you don't believe me, go into your MLS system at the end of today and say how many new listings were put on the market today. And I guarantee you there were listings taken, right? So people are making a decision every day. Your job is to go and find them. And again, your job is to be in the presence of prospects. So it's critically important that you get clear on those different mental maps, okay? Now, in terms of lead gen, you have a decision to make. And it's a very, very important one, right? Because there's two paths you can take. One is the path of perhaps maybe joining a team. Now, the idea of joining a team with a team leader is the main value that they're providing you is they're giving you leads. Right? The challenge with that is, as a result, you have splits with a team leader, and then once it all shakes out, you end up making a referral fee, right? So you're doing all the work, but you're keeping maybe 20, 30% of the money, which is a challenge, right? Long term. The second issue, the second option that you have at your disposal is you can become an independent agent, and you also outsource lead generation, right? So you pay for leads from these online platforms, realtor.com, Zillow, things of that nature. The problem is, A, those leads are almost always buyer leads. And remember what we talked about how all the leverage on the listing side. But then also B, whoever controls the lead controls how much it costs. So as time progresses, I promise you, I've been there for the changes in evolution, and there's a lot more coming. Those referral fees have continually climbed, right? So that means that it ends up, you're less profitable, okay, over time. And you're also at the whim and control of somebody else. And then the third option that you have is to be a solo agent and to go after lead sources that are independent of referral fees. And what this does is it preserves profitability and it maintains your control over your business. Because if you give somebody else control over lead generation, you're actually vulnerable. And if you give somebody else control over your income streams, right, you're very vulnerable. So what I would propose or suggest in terms of lead gen is you learn the specialized knowledge and the skills that are required in order to hunt, in order to find sellers that are motivated. And once you find them, be able to set an appointment with them, pre-qualify that appointment, go on an appointment, handle objections, close, get something authorized, and then if and when they need an adjustment, helping them to self-discover that they need an adjustment and make the adjustment. Over time, as you acquire that skill set, you'll become a dominant listing agent in your geographic area. You'll control the market, you'll control your income streams, and you'll be highly profitable, right? So these are decisions that we need to make. And the analogy I like to give is you can either live in the jungle or you can survive in the zoo. And how would you get an animal that's wild and free and actually dangerous to live in a zoo? Well, you feed it. And the thing that we can tell about those two different animals is like, one is the animals in the zoo, they're docile, they're not dangerous, and they want to be fed, and they're not free. And in the jungle, those animals are free, they are dangerous, and they're highly skilled, right? And that's a decision that we have to make around lead generation. So this is like a foundational decision, because if we play it out over time, it'll really dictate your level of success. As far as lead sources around listings, you have some options at your disposal. The first option is what I would call the 4 horsemen. And this is what a lot of the kind of real estate gurus out there talk about. They talk about for sale by owners, just listed, just sold, expireds, canceled, right? Past client centers of influence. And they just recycle through those. And two things can be true at the same time, because it's not that those lead sources are bad. They're okay. I mean, it's fine, right? But truth is on a spectrum, okay? So something's more true than something else. So if my goal is to find motivated sellers, can I look in those lead sources for them? Yeah, you can, and you'll find them. At the same time, if I want to do it in volume, wouldn't it make sense for me to focus on lead sources that have a larger pool of motivated sellers, that within that pool, there's a much higher degree of probability that they are motivated, they do have equity, and they want to sell? And the answer is emphatically yes. So those other sources, expired, SPSBOs, canceled, just listed, just sold, all of that, they're not bad, okay? And we teach agents how to do it. You know, you could check out my school community. It's free there. Just type me in Aaron Novello School. And we have role play groups for you to practice. We have versions of our online courses that you get for free. And we teach you how to talk to those lead sources. They're not bad, they're good. What I would also suggest or propose is as you drill down, and if you're serious about working with motivated sellers, you start to make data-driven decisions around leads. So in other words, an example of that would be like probate, right? For me, that was 50 to 60 listings a year. And that's a lead source where 65% of those homes statistically are free and clear. And the motivation is very high, right? Because it's a probate and estate sale of real property. So somebody passed. So the family members, with a high degree of probability, they want to sell it. And because 65% of those homes statistically free and clear, there's lots of equity. So if I'm going to spend time looking for motivated sellers, wouldn't it make sense for me to spend time in a source that has a higher proportion of them, a higher population of them? The answer is emphatically yes, right? And there are, you know, I have videos that are on YouTube kind of going in depth about probate. We have a probate course as well. In the school community, there's a kind of a webinar that I did on probate where you can get some general information. But these are decisions that you have to make around lead sources that are going to make a huge difference in kind of your real estate career and your ability to be productive long term. So if you liked this episode of the series, right, that foundational series from 0 to 25 transactions, again, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, hit that little bell so you get notified for when the next episode of the next series comes out. And this is going to be around time management for new agents and what your schedule needs to look like to make sure that you're a top producer. When my wife met me, I had a little scooter and like $5 in my pocket. You know what I'm saying?
When I met my wife, as an example, I had nothing. You know, I remember one time I had to borrow money from her, and we just started dating. I was sleeping on a mattress in my friend's 1-bedroom garden apartment on his living room floor.
Yeah.
Took her on a date, and she said,
"Let's go back to your place."
And I'm like, yeah. And I said, how about your place? And she's like, well, we were young. She's like, my parents are there. And I'm like, just tell her. So I told her.
You did. Good for you.
Yeah. And she's like, that's okay.